Ladies and gentlemen, we just got done speaking at Cody Sanchez's event. She invited me out there. For all those who don't know, we run her ads currently, and she wanted us to come and do a talk to this specific group of people that she had in attendance at her headquarters on what we call back-end selling systems. It's a 4-part process that you're about to learn about. We walk through it in a light way, and we make sure that all these people in the room and you now here on YouTube got a lot of value on how these systems work, how they'll improve show rates, improve close rates, shorten sales cycles, get more PIFs, and overall just create a lot more trust, certainty. These systems help leads who just did things like book calls, opted into webinars, just bought something low ticket and you're trying to ascend them to high ticket, even just doing something as simple as DMing a business. These work across the board. Again, these are my back-end selling systems. Plenty of videos on this channel about it, but here it is from a different frame and perspective at a Cody Sanchez event. Enjoy the video. Talk soon. Just in case one of you skeptical fucking morons is on my channel, yeah, we're actually flying, okay? You shouldn't even be on this channel with that type of brain. Sorry I had to do that for all the rich people sitting here watching that obviously know we're on a fucking jet and don't do dumb shit like that. Anyway, back to the video. Let's jump in.
All right, yes. And then we're going to continue with marketing. We have Jeremy in the building. He's part of our team. He's going to be teaching us all about all the ads and lead generation and funnels and strategies. All right, Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Well, I started my day today by coming here and talking to Cody, who I've met many times, and you know what I said? Nice to meet you. So I meant to have that for you guys. So anyway, my goal here today is really simple. I want to help you get richer. Does that sound good? I'm really good at that job. I have this spectrum, excuse my language. I call it the you're fucking me spectrum. So you give me money if you're one of my clients, and I have to flip the spectrum. Because initially, I'm technically fucking you. Good to see you again. I'm technically fucking you until the tide changes, all right? And I pride myself on the ability to flip that spectrum extremely quickly. With what I'm going to cover here today, we will accomplish that. So, moral of the story, I'm going to introduce a system that I call back-end selling systems to you. Sound good? Yeah. Okay, to be clear, I believe that there are two completely distinct ways that people behave, both before they take an action versus after they take a key action. Okay, I believe on the front end, there's this context I call scanner mode, okay? Think about this in the context of booking a call. Think about this in the context of like opting in for a webinar. Think about this in the context of even buying this event, okay? When you choose on the front end to consider something, are you really doing a lot of your research from like the fullest intent, or are you more so trying to make a quick decision about whether something's for you or not? Does that make sense? Okay, so long story short, the context of booking a call, opting into a webinar, purchasing something low ticket, DMing a business, like whatever the actual funnel is, again, on the front end, we call that scanner mode, okay? We all bias, it's an evolutionary trait. There's a really good book called Evolutionary Psychology by David M. Buss. Thick black book if you end up buying it with a gorilla on the front, okay? And in this book, we all bias towards energy conservation because think about it, historically, we didn't have unlimited calories, okay? So from that perspective, we all typically conserve our energy by design. We don't do anything unless it's deemed necessary. Does that make sense? Okay, so moral of the story, before somebody opts in, before somebody books a call, they're essentially just scanning everything and trying to conclude, is this for me? Is this not for me? You get me? Yeah. Okay, good. So anyway, in this scanner mode, everything on the front end is consumed in an extremely light way. Because again, they're biasing towards energy conservation. That's why people never watch full VSLs, right? How many of you run some type of call funnel or a webinar or something with a VSL on it? Raise your hand. Video sales letter. Thank you. If you have a little video on your page where you articulate yourself to somebody, that's a VSL. So just to be clear, people commonly get frustrated when people don't actually consume these assets. Sometimes people don't even press play on these things. And people get really consumed in this concept that Somebody should actually be indulging themselves in like everything that you have before they even do something as simple as opting in. Now, once the actual action occurs, the consumption and the intent changes dramatically. Okay, and this is what's very critical for us to understand. They move from scanner mode into a mode where they now attempt to justify the further energy that's about to be expensed. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so think about this. We're going to build on this system together, okay? So if I book a call, how many of you have booked a call before and then failed to show up for that call? Raise your hand. Right? How many of you have opted in for a webinar and then not actually gone to the webinar training? Raise your hand. Right now, why? Right, go ahead. Why?
Something else came up that was more important.
So a priority overtook the other thing that you had a lower level of interest in. Right? Somebody else who didn't show up.
I got one.
What you got?
Me?
Yeah, good.
I knew that I would get a follow-up email with more information, so I didn't want to waste the time to watch it.
So you essentially understood that they would, in a more efficient way for you, still send you the information you wanted. Did they?
Yes.
Okay. What was your reason?
I knew they were going to email back with the deck and everything, so I could listen to it after.
Same concept, you know? Same concept. And again, if you think about this, priority and efficiency. You see the pattern there? Okay, now hear me out, right? This is a very important thing that you have to understand. Priority and justifying that something's worth it or not all comes down to the information that we disseminate to somebody prior to that key thing happening. Right? So think about this. They failed to get you a key piece of information that would have made whatever that other thing was a lower priority compared to that webinar. Right? And from an efficiency perspective, you chose not to show up solely because of efficiency, but again, what if there was some critical piece of information that could have increased your intent dramatically? You get me? So this is what we try to do. We try to give people information that makes a significant difference to prioritizing whatever we want them to do. You understand this? So ask yourself this. What information do we have to get people that's meaningful enough, that's real and highly believable for them to actually justify prioritizing it? Does that intention make sense to you? That's what we're going to attempt to accomplish today with these systems I'm going to teach you. Again, called back-end selling systems. So, moral of the story. Let me be really clear. This is actually a crazy stat, and this is real, okay? So for all the men in the room, you have a 50% higher chance to get skin cancer compared to the women you're amongst right now. Does that make you actually want to do anything? Are you going to go get checked after this? Why not? It's just like a random thing, huh? Again, like the answer is likely not. You know, we're not probable to really do much with that at all. Now imagine this, okay? I'm a dermatologist. I'm not a dermatologist, okay? But we happen to be sitting on a plane together, all right? And I look at you a little too intently. And I say, hey, I noticed you got a little mole on your arm there. And I'm a little concerned for you. I think you should go see a professional and get it checked out. Not trying to freak you out or anything. But you know, it's a little concerning to me. And I am a dermatologist, but I can't professionally diagnose it here while we're on the plane. Would that make you go get it checked out comparatively? Right, and so think of the difference. Yeah, you classic man, huh? All right, so check this out. You're gonna die before going to the doctor. All right, anyway, yeah, we're more probable to take action in that example. And it really comes down to a few things, okay? It's two things, really. It's the information, and then it's the actual frame in which it's communicated to us. Right, and think about this. Are we ever probable to have 100% compliance with our show rates? No. Are we ever probable to have 100% show rates to webinars, to call funnels? Are we ever probable to have everybody do what we want them to do? No. Right? But with the right information in the right frame, we can impact that in a very positive direction. You get me? Okay, so moral of the story. We want to try to create urgency as much as possible. Because think about this. You've opted in to something, booked a call, right? Something key is coming up where a transaction can occur. But without urgency, we all have a bunch of shit going on in our lives that we'd otherwise choose to prioritize. The things that we buy generally are not priorities unless there's something that is highly believable and contextual to us that makes some difference, where we say, I gotta get that done sooner than later, right? Just recently I got a building down in Miami. It's like 8,000 square feet. It's got, I spent so much fucking money on this building. I spent about $500,000 over the last 2 months. And it started dumping earlier this month. And right by this pool table I put into the building, I look up while it's raining and there's just like a solid stream, not like a drip, like a solid stream of water coming through the wall. And I'm like, oh fuck. How fast do you think I called a contractor?
Immediately.
Right, am I gonna push that off? No, that wall was stuccoed and fixed and, fucking patched before you could blink an eye the next day. Before it could rain the next day, that shit was accomplished. Why? I just spent $500,000 on that place just in shit I was doing on the inside to make it good. I'm not gonna have a leak mess up my new building that fast, Again, think about this though at the same time. I have a little area, it's got like this wood panel. You guys see that wood paneling up there? That brown one? I have a nice black wall that's paneled like that. And I wanted to put a big old circle on the wall that said, get richer at the top of it, like a neon sign, right? Keep in mind, I got this place in late July. I had to redo the floors, install HVAC, install a fire sprinkler system. Thank God electric and plumbing were done for the most part. I bought a 220-inch LED 4K wall. I put $50K in audio equipment into it. I had to time when I did what. What do you think the urgency was on my circle get richer neon sign? That's actually the literal last thing I have to do, right? And it's still technically gonna get done, but it's a full 2 months before it's gonna get done, right? It's the cherry on the sundae. Does that make sense? You couldn't tell me shit if you were a neon sign company about why I should buy it sooner than later, right? I had leaks to deal with and all this other major shit. Now, just to be clear, when we look at creating urgency, let me give you a comparable though. If you were a neon sign company and you did want to sell me a sign, what do you think a highly believable reason is that I would actually play into where I do become more probable to buy it sooner than later?
You start using it sooner.
Yeah, that's true.
Delay in manufacturing, so it's going to take me X amount of time to get this done, so if you don't buy it now, you're not going to get it when you need it.
Why'd I order the screen and the audio equipment sooner than later?
Because it needs to get shipped.
Exact line of reasoning. That fucking screen company told me, it was made up by the way. They did exactly what I'm telling you right now. They were like, sir, you got to order this right now. The screen's going to take up to 10 weeks. And I was like, fuck, 10 weeks? That's like a week before this event I got there. Like I can't tolerate that. Bro, they installed it within 2 weeks. It was like fully done and usable. It's like, man, they got me with my own system. Anyway, same thing with the audio equipment. The audio equipment guys were like making it sound like it was going to be some major shit. Dude, they got it done in like a week, right? Now, these neon sign companies I engaged, they were like, oh yeah, I mean, we can get it done in a couple days. We'll hand deliver it to you, Mr. Haynes. Sounds good, but now you're last. Okay? So just to be clear, the right information that gets in front of our leads at the right time, it makes us more probable to take action, which sometimes just includes showing up, sometimes it includes buying. It's very important to note though, like the right information, we also have to consider framing when we're talking to people. It can't just be random. Like it can't just be like, oh, we have a 50% higher chance to get skin cancer. That's like a random fact. It's meaningless. There's no frame to it, right? Let me give you guys a great thing, okay? Every single male, I don't know how we learn it, but we all learn it somehow. We're told this. It's a handy-down belief that I think it's at age 40. You have to start going to the doctor, getting your prostate checked. How did you learn that? Like, where did we learn it from, right? And think about it. Like, I'm 31 right now when I sit here talking to you. It's just like lodged in the back of my mind. Like, as I get closer to 40, I'm like, I gotta go to the doctor and start getting my prostate checked. It's like that data, it's contextual to, first of all, gender, age, right? And just those two variables alone, like contextualize and frame the data a little better and make it so as you like encroach on that specific set of circumstances, you become more probable to do something with the information. Does that make sense? So we also, when we consider frame, it's not that complex. Like sometimes all it means is just contextualizing information. Does that make sense to you? All right, so here, very important to consider, okay? When we look at things like higher show rates, more sales calls instead of education calls, shorter sales cycles, more PIFs, pay-in-fulls, higher close rates, just to be clear, like all these systems we'll talk about, they all ensure that people actually show up. And it's really, this back-end selling systems are made up of 4 key things that accomplish these things, okay? We'll talk about each one of these in detail. Here they are. The first of the back-end selling systems, the first in the 4-part series, is called confirmation page best practices, okay? The second one we call setter pre-call best practices. The third one is ad strategy I'm going to teach you called the hammer them campaign. And then last, but definitely not least, value-dense email sequences. Okay, and again, we're going to go through each one of these step by step, okay? That way you can get the value out of what we're talking about here. So again, really important you understand the underlying intention of all this, okay? This is a quote you want to make sure you write down. The right information leads to action, okay? The lack of information, or even the wrong information, can lead to inaction, okay? I hate paying taxes, okay? I'm just a little cash cow to the United States government. They get me for $115K a month right now while I sit here talking to you, okay? Just milking me, okay? Milking me. Now, I occasionally get hit with ads from people who tell me I can somehow not pay taxes while remaining in the good old United States, which I love, okay? I don't want to go to Puerto Rico, okay? I pay that amount to not live in Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to go to Dubai. I live in Miami. It's already hot down there. I don't want to get hotter than that. Here's the thing though, okay? I see these ads and they get me in, like if I send that wire, you know, on good old directpayirs.gov, you know, I feel it in those moments, and if you hit me with an ad at the right time, I'm gonna respond to it. And one time I see an ad and it's like, look, you're rich now. You know, you don't need just a CPA and tax attorneys and like, you know, bookkeepers. You need a tax strategist. And I was like, yeah, maybe, yeah. And he's like, now here's the thing, right? A tax strategist, we're going to legally deduct your taxes to near zero or zero. We have all these strategies that you're just not taking advantage of. Book that call, okay? I'm in. Hit me. The call wasn't for 9 days. 9 days later. You know, the only things I got from these people in that 9-day time frame were fucking reminder emails. I didn't get anything else. What do you think I did for those 9 days? You think I just sat around for a $115K a month problem, or you think that I researched in between now that I was in justification mode, right? I got the information. They just didn't give me the information. So I got information from external sources instead of from them directly. What do you think the external sources helped me conclude to? Nothing that benefited them. ChatGPT was telling me they're full of shit. You know? Google, YouTube videos, all of them, same conclusion. Not possible. Do you think I showed up for the call?
No.
Hell no. I saw that on my calendar that day. I was like, that's a free hour. Not going to that. Because what? They didn't get me any information, right? Another month goes by. Good old tax man comes along. Another wire goes out and another ad comes along. This one says, you can stay in America, but we're going to set you up in Dubai. And all your money, you'll offshore all your profits. You're going to take your IP and have it owned by Dubai Corporation, and Dubai Corporation is going to get all your money from the US, and that's going to make it so you zero out your taxes. Book that call. All right? And I'm like, hey, maybe this one's the one, you know? Okay, again, this one was reasonable. It was like 72 hours from the time that I booked to like the actual call itself. Nothing but basic reminder emails, and there was a few videos they sent, okay? And these videos that they sent all made me think, I'm gonna go to prison if I do this, okay? Like the information they provided me made me think, I am fucked if I do that. All right, did I show up for the call? Hell no, okay? So the wrong information or the lack of information leads to inaction, okay? Now I have this inner circle member, his name Carlton. And Carlton, I also saw through an ad, and he had the same line of messaging, and it ends up, he was already a client of mine. As silly as it sounds, I have people in this group that pay me a couple grand a month and I teach them things. And I didn't even realize Carlton was in my group. And I look at this ad and I go, man, this guy looks so familiar. And I hit him up. I go, Carlton, is this your ad? And he goes, yeah, no, it's me. He's like, I always hear you bitch about, he's going to watch this exact video and be like, you're bitching about the tax problem again? You know, like we talked about this. And anyway, Carlton got me all the right information. And now here's the thing, right? This is ultimately what's really important to understand. Him getting me the right information led me to spend about $5K a month on this like fractional CFO tax strategist. And oh man, like I was paying, just so you guys understand, my tax liability was upwards of $150K a month, and we already brought it down to 115, which was a lot better. And in addition to that, instead of just giving money to the IRS, I also make money instead of just giving it to the IRS. I was making estimated payments every month. And so now I figured out a way through them as well to like not just literally give it to the IRS. So long story short, the right information finally led me to taking action and not think I'm gonna go to jail. Okay, just to be clear, we have to start for your specific business by trying to define what the right information actually is. Okay, this is what differentiates a random fact, like we got a 50% greater chance of skin cancer, versus something that actually moves somebody into action. You understand the difference? Right? And this is what we must figure out and what we're going to talk about, okay? So to be clear, several variables matter when we want somebody to create a priority out of what we do, okay? And number one out of all these things, this is number one for a reason, ranked in terms of importance, is the reasons have to be highly believable, okay? They have to be things that are real. Because if they're not real, or if they just feel like they're random facts, I'll give you a perfect example, right? That fact that I told you is real about skin cancer, well, I'm just a random dude here talking to you. Do you believe that fact? You see? It's like some people, yeah. Some of you sitting here, you're like, nah. You know? And it's like, yeah, honestly, I've heard it. I don't know where I even learned it from. I put it in my presentation last night on the jet over here. I thought, hey, spread the word, you know? Maybe get some guys out of that state and make them go get checked. Anyway, back to my point, okay? Has to start with highly believable reasons, okay? And this is really important. Ideally, we find like real world data that actually supports why somebody must do it now. So I have this client, his name's Jamil, okay? And Jamil, he has an offer on this concept. It's called co-living. Just real quick, have any of you ever heard of co-living? Raise your hand.
Roommates.
Yeah. So watch this, right? I hadn't heard of co-living when I took Jamil on as a client, and I thought it was like, I've helped a lot of real estate info people make a lot of money, but this one I was like, this one's gonna bang. So anyway, listen to this. So co-living is very popular internationally, okay? It's not in the United States, but here's how it works. It's pretty much like professional roommates, okay? This is gonna sound like shit to all of us as rich people, to be clear, but to the general public, if you wanna live in a major city and like, you know, a somewhat decent home, you don't wanna have, like you're not gonna be home a lot, you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't want to live in an apartment, I'd rather have a house, but I don't really want the cost of a house. This co-living situation essentially sets you up with a bunch of individuals that are professionally screened, and you still get all the benefits of the house. It turns like the amenities of the house, it turns the basic things of the house besides a bedroom into amenities, like a kitchen or a living room or like a fucking backyard. Anyway, it maximizes returns, and simply put, it also helps fight the affordable housing crisis. So here's the thing. We found this data, and this is real, okay? Major markets had recently rolled back housing restrictions that would have otherwise prevented investors who are learning about co-living from taking advantage of this. So Austin, where we're sitting here talking right now, Denver, Washington, D.C., Miami, Chicago, I think there were like 8 others in addition to those, had all like, I'm talking just recently, rolled back these housing restrictions, okay? Now let's use the example that you were considering some kind of real estate investment vehicle, right? And I hit you with an ad from Jamil, and he's talking this hot shit about co-living and how great it is. And then you go to the page and you're like, oh, I'll opt in for this guy's webinar. Yeah, I'll book a call. The first video you see is a video of Jamil sitting there telling you recently a bunch of markets rolled back housing restrictions. I just want you to think real quick, what does that mean for the people who are going to do this? Who makes the most money in a situation like that? First mover's advantage. Is that real, or is that a full of shit made up reason? It's a real reason. The big money's going to move first. The smart money's going to move first. Those people are all probable to go in there and take advantage of it to get the richest with that specific strategy. You understand? And we put that in a video right on the confirmation page. We said big money, smart money, and maybe maybe you're going to be the one who takes advantage of this. And to be clear, if you waited and you didn't do any of this, you're just going to have less opportunity. Let's use Austin as a market. If, let's say, a year goes by before you finally take action, there's just going to be less opportunity for you to take advantage of at that time, right? Less for you to exploit. And again, we then tied it into first mover's advantage. Right onto a video that people would see on the confirmation page, okay? Right there at the top, smack in the middle, okay? And our show rate went up 14% just from that one video being added alone. We didn't take that message and put it anywhere else. We just took that message, put a video together that came out to about 8 minutes. Him just sitting down, talking at a camera, little captions at the bottom of the video, going through that line of reasoning by itself, nothing else. 14% lift in show rate. Listen to this, that video only had a 50% play rate, 52 to be technical. That means only half the people are actually even watching that. And we saw that big of a lift from it. You understand? That was pretty sick. So moral of the story, only one video makes that big of a difference. And on that same page, we had a bunch of information videos. We had 19 other videos. We call them breakout videos. These breakout videos, they just were 1 to 3 minutes long, and they just answered questions about co-living. Right? And so I'll give you a technical one as an example. There's something called pad split. People who know about co-living, I guess they know about pad split, or maybe they're aware of it. So there's a little 1-minute video that just says hey, here's the difference between co-living and pad split. There's a general video that just says here's what co-living is. There's 4 videos going through individual properties that he converted from single family rentals, long-term lease, over to co-living and what that transition looked like and how much money he makes from it. Right? 19 total videos like this. Okay? I had those 19 videos on the page before I had that one urgency-based video at the top. It moved my show rate 2%. These 19 videos, their consumption rate was dramatically higher after I added the highly believable reasons urgency video. Does that make sense? So it's people don't give a fuck about the random information until they have an urgency-based, highly believable reason to give a fuck about the information. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? Yeah? Very good. Okay, so again, why? Why? Because the right information leads to action. Okay? The wrong information or the lack of information leads to inaction. So highly believable reasons, they always work. And after somebody has those highly believable reasons, they're more probable to consume just the basic information that you have. Do you get what I mean? I'll give you a perfect example of this, okay? Well, I sit here and tell you this right now. What did I not lead with? Well, I didn't lead with any math that would show you the difference between having a 30% higher show rate or a 15% higher close rate. I could have opened up the talk and been hey, so what's your current close rate? Oh, it's 20%? Yeah, cool. What if it was 30? How much more money would you have made? And then you'd be oh, I would have made this much more. And then I'd be okay, cool. You want to try to make that much more? Watch this. And then again, the frame is necessary in order to try to get people to consume the information that comes after. In this particular case, I didn't do that because respectfully to you, you already paid to be here. And I assume you're already in that frame. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, and think about it like this. contextually, because you already paid to be here, and because I already assume you're in that frame of like wanting to improve, you'd probably listen to that part of the talk and be like, the fuck's this guy talking to me about this for? Like, yeah, of course I want more money and a higher close rate and show rate. Do you get what I mean? So if you say the wrong thing at the right time, you lose the person there too. That'd be an example of the wrong information. You get what I mean? All right, cool. Let's continue on. So nobody cares about the random information until they actually have solid reasons to care. So you can't throw random reasons at people. They have to be highly believable, and ideally they lead to urgency, which leads us to this next golden rule, okay? We have to get them to trust us before the actual sales conversation occurs. So if you convert people in a webinar, if you convert people in real life, if you convert people on sales calls, like if you convert people in DMs, it doesn't matter where it is or what it is, okay? Trust has to be established prior to the actual sales conversation. Otherwise, no sale's gonna occur. What happens in those conversations comparatively? They just become education calls. And then you have long drawn out sales processes because simply put, you failed to get the necessary information that people would have otherwise asked on those calls to them before the call occurred. You get what I mean? So to be clear, we have to be able to establish trust before the sales conversation. Okay? People think everybody's full of shit nowadays. So you have to do things like this. This is my actual dispute rate. You see in 2018 when it was 1.84%, I sold a $50 product at the time, and no offense to the country of India, but fuck India. Those people were the only people that charged back on that $50 product. And by the way, if I Googled that name of that $50 product, you'd see it pirated everywhere inside of the search engines, okay? This is on a little over 5,000 transactions just in our education company. When we get disputes, again, they're all for low ticket. I had one guy in the history of my education company that was an actual dispute. His name was Ryan. He bought one of my $5,000 offers. Ryan was a kid when he bought it. He was moving out, and Ryan ran out of money when he moved out. And you know what he decided to do? Use the good old bank of Jeremy and call up his bank and not just charge back me, but charge back a bunch of other people. Well, I'm a bit of a psycho, and I looked Ryan up on whitepages.com, and I had his information because he bought from me. And I'm trying to call Ryan, and Ryan's not answering the phone. And I'm like, Ryan, I'm your mentor. Like, you're going to answer the phone, you know? And so I end up going on White Pages. I found his dad's information. I call his dad all concerned because Ryan wasn't answering me. He just charged back $5K. I'm like, what the fuck did I do wrong? I got to at least hear from this guy. Because again, I've never had an actual chargeback for that offer. We've sold that offer 4,000 plus times. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to Ryan's dad. And I'm like, hey man, your son just charged me back. What did I do? And his dad goes, he just moved out. He probably ran out of money. Like, he's not answering you? I go, no. He goes, let me call him. He calls him, three-ways Ryan in. And I'm like, Ryan, what the fuck? You know? And Ryan's all apologetic. You know, his dad ends up sending us the money and all that. But just to be clear, imagine on your confirmation page as an example. Imagine you send this off via an email. This very thing that I'm talking about right now be on my fucking YouTube as an example, right? This is my actual dispute rate, okay? Just so you understand, and this is really important you understand this. When has a business that you've transacted with ever shown you things like their refund rate and their dispute rate? Have you ever seen that? You tell me, is that a way to actually build trust? When I show you a testimonial of me making somebody a fuckload of money, does it even like register well nowadays? You know, when you go look up testimonials, like what do you actually look at? Think about this. People are looking like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Watch this, okay? So people are in no way, shape, or form trying to just look at like what you have good. They're looking for how fucked they could get if they do a deal with you and what you're gonna do about it if they get fucked. Does that make sense? How bad could things be and what do you do when things are bad, right? This is very important that you understand this distinction because as most of you just commented, when you go look at reviews, like again, raise your hand. You go to the 1-star reviews first, right? It's like you don't go to these platforms, and you're probably not even a skeptical individual, right? Most of you sitting in here, you have a high probability to be on the higher risk end of the spectrum, okay? Think about it like this. If you go and yourself look at 1-star reviews first, yet your business only demonstrates the best case scenarios for your testimonials, why aren't you using the selfish rule of thumb? Like, why wouldn't you replicate your own behavior for your consumers to be able to go through? You picking up what I'm putting down? So we like to put on all of our back-end selling systems. How fucked could you get if you do the deal? Okay? We're very transparent about it. So, continuing on. Very important. You glaze over the good ones. You may even think the good ones are fake or manipulated. Okay? And all we're trying to do with these back-end selling systems is just help people do their research, help them understand the opportunity, help get them to a point where they actually trust us. And how can we build? Think about this, right? I have a lot of content on YouTube. I have hundreds of videos, right? And I get people all the time that come to us. They're like, oh, dude, I watched like 20 of your videos. I'm like, that's why I'm here, like buying from you now. When I run paid ads, I've got to condense like sometimes months of organic consumption that gets people to trust us into like days, like 3 days, okay? And so the difference can't just be that they need to consume a radical amount of content in that type time frame. The difference has to be that I have to do radically different content that other people don't do that makes you trust me faster, like showing my dispute rate. And when we make those videos, by the way, we literally log into our payment dashboard, like not a little screenshot like what I showed you, just so it's visually like, you know, something you could see. We'd log into our actual payment dashboard and we would scroll down and we would say, look, here's like our lifetime transactions. Here's our disputes. Here's everybody coincidentally buying from India that's in this case, disputed and fucked us. Okay, if I Google that product name, by the way, look, this is the product name and look, it's pirated everywhere, right? Here's our refunds. We refunded this guy because we fired him, right? And here's literally the messages of us doing that so you could see. And by the way, we fired him because we lost belief in him, right? He did this that made us think that, so we gave him his money back because we didn't think we could help him tip that spectrum in his favor for him to start fucking us, right? We did right with his money. You understand? That video is on my confirmation pages. You get what I mean? What's that do from that perspective of instead of getting them to consume a ton of videos in a short time frame, I just have one video that actually makes that person say, okay, haven't seen that before. This guy, I mean, he literally just showed me his payment process. So to be clear, remember, we're also trying to frame throughout this process, okay? So we take videos just like what I've said here. We take messaging just like this, and we strategically will spread it out. Rather than just putting it on the confirmation pages, we'll put it into emails as well, right? So remember I told you that play rate on that video that bumped up Jamil's show rate 14%? Only 52% of people pressed play. So that means the preferred consumption mechanism of everybody who came through that funnel isn't a video on the confirmation page. It clearly means I got to put it elsewhere too to get that message that improved the stat that much actually consumed. You understand? So in this case, I took it and I wrote it into an email and we started sending that out. Okay? So just to be clear, we'll also take that same line of messaging and we'll add it to what I'm going to teach you here shortly called the Hammer Them campaign. We'll even have setters reach out to people prior to these calls, like essentially our salespeople, and we'll have them send that information too. Okay? That way, to be clear, all the framing and these general questions that are going to create a priority and a commitment to these people actually showing up and wanting to buy, we want that commitment to be there. We want it to be a sales call, okay? So anyway, let's get back to these other back-end selling systems. Value-dense email sequences. So the tax thing, right? Those people sent shitty emails. They just sent me reminder-based emails, or even worse, emails that made me think I was going to go to prison, okay? Not good information that I wanted to receive from a business I'm considering doing a deal with. Most businesses, they write emails in a very selfish way that provide truly no information beyond like a call time or a webinar start time. And just to be clear, like if that's you, you're missing out big time, because right now, like we're seeing open rates sit at about 50 to 70% on average. Okay, so people are opening emails a lot nowadays, especially if you've got good email deliverability. However, click-through rates in those emails are still really low. Like we're not seeing big click-through rates. So what we do is is in like all that messaging that I talked to you about Jamil's urgency video with the highly believable reasons that say these markets just changed, right? Rather than writing a short email and having a link click to that video, we take that whole video and we write it into a long value-oriented email instead. Okay, because click-through rates are low, open rates are high. That means the consumption's happening in the inbox itself, not to something they click through to. Okay? Now watch this. Might sound a little audacious to the weaker emails in here. Okay? I'll send up to 6 of these bad boys a day. Now you might be like, holy shit, I would unsubscribe, but you got to keep in mind, this is stuff you'd actually want to know. When you open it, you would open it if you're an ideal consumer for this product. And you'd be like, that's what I needed. Do you know how much information I consumed in between the booking of the calls and those tax calls I was talking to you about? A ton. You sent me 6 emails a day genuinely teaching me some shit about how your strategy works and what you're going to do to lower my tax burden. I'd have read every one of them twice. Probably would have forwarded it to my attorneys and been like, am I going to go to jail? You know, I would have read all of them. Okay, now just to be clear, we usually start around 3 to 4 a day. And what we'll do is we'll like strategically bump it up and we'll add one and we'll see if the open rate holds. Okay, so if the open rate diminishes, roll that one back and potentially just change it because it might have just been a bad email subject line. But again, if you start with 3 a day and your open rate, let's say, is an average of 60%, and then you add a 4th and it goes to like 40, you found the pocket. You get me? Okay, so again, don't start at 6. Try to start at 3 to 4. Work your way up. And just to be clear, as long as these emails are actually valuable, like people appreciate it. If they suck, yeah, you're going to get people emailing back and bitching. They'll be like, this is like, what are you doing? Why are you emailing me so many times? Like, stop, you know? So just to be clear, make sure they're actually good. And when you combine these 2 actions, very important, okay? We see that this specific practice alone, whether it's value dense emails, whether it's confirmation pages, we'll see lifts of upwards of like 30% in show rates when this is done properly, like independently of one another, okay? Now just to be clear, very important that you know this, all right? We still have to hit them everywhere else too. It can't just be emails and it can't just be the confirmation page. So I have this ad strategy I created, it's called the Hammer Them Ad strategy. So the average person, you guys know the Statue of Liberty obviously, right? So just to be clear, 356 feet is from the top of the torch down to her toes. Okay? Average person scrolls that amount of content on Facebook and Instagram daily. Obviously, some people scroll far more than that. And again, that's literally every single day. So very important to note, like where the attention is, we want to be. Okay? So right after somebody takes a key action like booking a call or opting into a webinar or something like that, what we immediately do is we want to drop a high quantity of content right into the news feed. That way we're there getting them framing content too. Does that make sense? So to be rather direct, ideally it's a lot of content, okay? We'll take short form content, we'll take long form content, and our goal is to just strategically place it in the news feed. To put a number to it, we'll take 30 to 50 pieces of short form content like Reels, like TikTok shorts, whatever you want to call them. And we'll take about 15 to 30 pieces of long form content like this, all right? Or like a podcast, or like you just sitting down yapping for 15 minutes about something specific. Does that make sense to you? We'll take somebody has about 72 hours before their call starts. Or let's say that somebody buys something low ticket for your offer and you want them to buy more stuff. And you know that the average time frame for them to buy more stuff is like a week. That time frame, or like let's say your webinar is like a couple days away, whatever that amount of time is on average between the time they take the action and the time that that sales event occurs, those are the only people that we put in this little target bucket, right? Those are the only people that we're going to get these types of ads in front of. We are not targeting these in front of anybody else. Only the people who just took a key action, okay? And then what we try to do with that is we try to put a very high frequency. Like we try to get 15 to 20 pieces of content in front of the person before they actually show up to that thing. Does that make sense to you? Okay, good. So this dramatically increases their level of awareness and intent through content consumption. When we set this up correctly, they see us like every other post. Like we do this with Cody as an example. As you book a call with Cody, or as you like buy a ticket to this, or as you buy a ticket to like that 3-day virtual event she just did, or as you like opt into one of her master classes, I absolutely hammer you with content as soon as you do those things. And what I end up doing is I establish a lot of very successful biases that help us a lot in selling. Familiarity bias. And if you consume the content, obviously I'm framing you throughout the process and getting you key information that helps make the decision when that webinar comes, or when that sales call comes, or when that pitch comes in the 3-day event. You get me? Okay, very good. So long story short, you just want to obviously make sure you have the right content. Just the same line of thinking with the emails. Like if your emails suck, you're going to have a bad time. If your confirmation page videos are just random information, you're going to have a bad time. If you just pick random content, again, you're going to have a bad time. It has to be something that actually feels like it's applicable to like where the person's at. So just to be rather direct, I've only got an hour with you guys here today, and I've got a whole series of videos on each one of these things independently. It's on my YouTube. You can search my channel by looking up the name Jeremy Haynes here. It looks like this. That's me. Thanks. I hope so. All right, anyway, back to my point, okay? So let's just be really clear. There's one more key variable, because remember, the back-end selling systems are a 4-part system. Set or pre-call best practices. So when you have a sales team that can reach out to somebody prior to that key conversation happening, they have a huge advantage. They have the opportunity to have what we call just human manual outreach, okay? Everything's pretty much automated nowadays, and a lot of it, even further than that for the sophisticated marketing systems, they're AI, right? So the natural respect we have when somebody actually goes that extra mile to just reach out to us and personalize things, like we all appreciate personalization, right? Like we all appreciate those. We interpret it as a finer thing, you know? So luxury companies, they do this extremely well. I'm staying over here at the Four Seasons while I was in town, and we stay there all the time. They know my fiance, she loves these things they call cozy robes, okay? I'm not too familiar with the difference between their regular robe and their cozy robe, but she sure is. I'll hear about it as soon as we walk in that room if there's not a cozy robe, okay? And again, it's a very special one, and you gotta request it. They apparently all have them. And just to be sure that you guys understand like this human touch that they have, they'll go as far as like putting this robe in the room before we show up. They know my fiance and I, like, we don't drink, okay? And they always have a non-alcoholic bottle of champagne when we arrive in the room too. They also know that she's a little chocolate junkie, and they'll put chocolates in the room every time that she's there. And the key here is like we don't have to ask. So it's very safe to say, like, if there's a Four Seasons, you know, we stay there, okay? And it's also very important to note, like, this same level of personalization is extremely easy to do. How do they do it? How do they do something so simple? Like put a cozy robe, chocolates, and a non-alcoholic bottle of champagne. It's just like a little bit of data, right? It's just a little bit of data. You just gotta look up the person, and you can look in your CRM, you can look at the application data that you get, and you can go that extra mile to just personalize it, right? If I looked you up, right? I know some of you probably don't use social media and blast yourselves out there with all your beliefs and personal characteristics. But I bet if I looked you up, even if I saw that, I'd be like, this person values privacy. We're going to close their blinds when they come into the hotel. You know? We're not going to talk to them a lot. They seem introverted. You know? Maybe we send them the link to like check in without even having to use the front desk. And you might not even interpret that as like they looked you up and tried to cater to you. But here's the thing. It's so easy, man. It's so easy. I get people all the time. I had a guy the other day. I get like dozens of pitches a day from random people in my DMs on Instagram. I had a guy pitch me. He was like, hey, Jeremy, like, I love your Instagram content. You'd be killer on YouTube. Like, you should let me help you with YouTube. And I was like, dog, look me up. You know? You know, and that like turns us off. It's like, do you think that guy gets a response? It's like, no. But it's like, if somebody hit me in comparison and said, Jeremy, I see you post twice a week YouTube videos on Wednesday and Saturdays. You're super consistent at noon every day. And I noticed that you're sitting down and doing talking head content. I think I could help you do vlog style content in a very efficient way. Would you be open to talking with me on that? And all they had to do was just look me up on YouTube for like 30 seconds to be able to make that kind of conclusion, and then their pitch is like contextual and something I'd actually be probable to respond to. Right, now picture this, right? You get inbound people that come into your business right now, and your sales team doesn't give a fuck about looking people up for some reason and trying to contextualize the pitch. Instead, they just sit there and are like, another sales call on my calendar, yeah. You know, and they don't take the like 2 minutes to like pull out their phone and do something as simple as send a selfie video, you know? Hey, so you got a call with me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Like, look, I look professional and I'm not a psychopath, you know? Like, I'm a good person who's actually gonna help you out. This is my cell phone, contact me if you got questions. It's like little things, you know? They dramatically improve the user experience, and like this is something so easy for either the closer that gets assigned that lead or for setters that can contact these people to easily do, right? But again, they don't do it because you have lower standards, right? And all you got to do is raise the standard of the organization to be able to easily accomplish this. Just review the application data, look the person up, sift through a well-organized list. And this is the other key part of this whole thing. The goal and the intent is for you to be able to successfully build them a list, like a categorized list of what we call sales assets and trust assets. So like you ladies, you're sitting here with a shirt that says poop 911. I would assume you have some kind of product that helps people poop, I hope, right? I'd be shocked otherwise, right? Now here's the thing. It's like, think about this. Your product probably has like some key compound in it that I would imagine makes people poop, right? And I think right away, I'm like, is it like one of those crazy like I've only seen that in movies where people use it as like a prank or something and make people poop like all day. I'd have that objection in my head, right? Is your product somehow negate that? Is it just like a one-off poop, or is it like all day poops, or what? All day? Oh, you pick up poop.
Pick up dog poop.
Boom. You see, and from that perspective, it's like I just projected it onto you just by the name. It's like, can you see information makes a substantial difference? If you pick up poop, I have 3 little wiener dogs. They shit all the time, okay? It's a big problem for us, all right? Now listen to this. Right? I care deeply about those little wiener dogs. I don't want them to get into trouble. Like those dog walkers, as an example, I'd never give them to a dog walker. I don't trust them enough. It's like you're picking up dog poop. I'd assume that you're walking the dog too then? Or no?
We are not.
Not walking the dog. Okay, what do you actually do? I really want to know now.
We come into your yard and pick up the poop.
So, oh, that's even better. So if there's just a yard full of shit, you come in there with a service for that? Wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Very, very unique business model. So, okay, listen to this, right? Are you just permissively coming into my yard when I'm not home? Do I have to observe you? Like, is it you? Is it people you're sending in there?
Yes, it's our yard techs that usually have the same route, and you give us either a code to your gate or what have you.
So I got to let you in there when I'm maybe not home.
Yep.
Now, just to be clear, do you send a background check of the person who goes to my home to me as the customer before you show up?
I do not, but I do run a background check.
Think about this though. Imagine you send that background check to the customer as they express interest in the idea of you exploring this service together, right? It's like if you send me a background check of the people, like, hey, this is our full team right here. Here's a background check on every single one of them. Here's links to their social pages so you know they're nice. Here's videos of them like being loving towards dogs, just in case your dog's out there. That'd be nice, right? Okay, well, let me tell you this. How about a nice video overview where you show people what happens, like just talk about the process from A to Z. Do you have a video like that?
We do not.
Okay, now these are called sales assets. Okay, we make assets like these, and then in this particular case, we'd use them across all the back-end selling systems. We'd hit them in the Hammer Them campaign, we'd hit them in the email sequence, we'd hit them on the confirmation page, but in this context, we'd have our setter reach out, and we'd have our setter say to the person, here, this is a list of background checks on every one of the people that we have hired, so you can check it out so you know we're legit. By the way, we work with all kinds of people. Some people are in gated communities where they got to add us onto a list. Don't worry, all our people are citizens. That's a hot topic right now, right? They're all citizens. They'll all be able to show ID at the gate. Here's a process A to Z of them going into a gated community. Here's a process A to Z of them going into like a regular house, right? And by the way, you can just look up the person's address and see whether it's a gated community or a regular house, right? So anyway, moral of the story, we want sales assets that ideally are well organized and provided to these setters. That way when the setters look this person up, they can categorically match what might be most appropriate for that person based on the list of all the things they have from you that you provided to those setters to reach out with. Does that make sense? Crazy business, by the way. That's pretty cool.
Big question on this.
Yeah, sure.
So setter, really, it's a piece of information that you were probably going to send anyway, but you're using the setter for number one, a human touch, number one, to segment them more into gated, ungated, that, so it feels personalized to them.
Well, here's the thing, right?
So this is the purpose of it.
You occasionally get these people that come through your sales process that won't consume anything else unless it feels like it's from a one-on-one level of communication.
Yeah, I get a lot of that.
Does that make sense?
It doesn't have to be the same person that's doing the call.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
People don't look at the individual like that matters. Most of the time they look at you ever called a corporation and treated them like a person, or do you treat it like you're talking to the corporation?
Yeah, it's appropriate.
Right? So it's like, yeah, they care about the person they're likely talking to if they ever, like, when I go and buy something fancy from a store, it's like I care about the rep that I'm buying from, so they get a commission, but like that's the extent to which I care. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, all these systems, just to be clear, these 4 systems, very important to understand, they work because each person has a different preference. Sometimes people opt in and the confirmation page is right then and there where they consume all the information. Other people will never watch a fucking video and they'd rather read 6 emails a day. Other people, they're only gonna scroll through their news feed and just go back to zombie mode, and then you're gonna be there just hammering them with all this kind of same messaging. Right? Like as soon as people book into their service, imagine seeing a bunch of videos in the news feed of them picking up dog shit out of people's yards, and the process and the questions and the background check. Like, and then again, imagine the setters at the same time, just so you have like a quad effect on this system to have success with the outcome you're after, which is trying to get people to the point where by the time the sales call occurs, it's a sales call instead of an education call.
Got video, emails, targeted ads, in-person calls. So you're touching all communication types.
Yeah, that's right. And that's back-end selling systems. So anyway, long story short, let me zoom through this real quick respectfully for time. So moral of the story, one last thing on that same concept, right? You might try to call me. I'm never going to answer a call. Do any of you answer your phone anymore? There's probably one of you freaks in here, I bet. Not most of us, okay? Yeah, you see what I mean? I knew there was one. We all read text messages. That's how we choose to consume the information instead. So most of the selling is done via text. So anyway, secret shop your own sales team and see what happens. It's probably been a long time since you've actually gone through your process and seen how fucked up all this is. Go see for yourself and look at it from this perspective that I've just taught you here today. Does that make sense to you? Okay, very good. So this will truly reveal like how much, what you need to do and all that fun stuff in order to get all these systems into your business. So I'll wrap it up with this. I have 4 SOPs for each one of these particular systems I just discussed.
Well, if you would have paid to be there in the room, of course, you would have got those 4 SOPs. But since you're sitting here on YouTube watching it for free, you're not going to get those, buddy. Okay, you're not going to get those. You got to spend some money. You got to buck up and put some dollars on the table here in order for you to get those SOPs. But definitely worth having. We have 33 other SOPs right now. We build on them every single month. We release more. That's one of many different assets that we provide to help tip that spectrum into your favor. So you fuck us. We get it, okay? We totally get it. You give us money in an education company, and we are initially fucking you because you paid us and you haven't made any money yet. But we fully understand the name of the game. We want to flip that spectrum into your favor as fast as humanly possible, and we're really good at doing that. So just to be clear, whether it's my inner circle offer for you're a rich person trying to get a whole lot richer, that's where we do our twice-a-month one-on-one calls, our weekly group calls. That's where we also do our quarterly in-person masterminds. We have a huge content library that we consistently add to, unlimited access to AI Jeremy, and a bunch of other really good information, including a group chat that's extremely active. Here's my point. If you're rich, you want to get a whole lot richer, get access to things like those SOPs and a ton of other great material that helps flip that spectrum into your favor, check out the link down in the description. If you're not in a position where that program and that offer makes sense for you, check out my Master Internet Marketing Program. It's a 7-week live class that we do annually. If you're not able to join during the live class itself, doesn't matter at all. You can get access to the previous cohort recording, which is up-to-date information. If some crazy shit changes in marketing, we go back, we update literally the entire class, we refresh everything and keep all our students on game. One-time price, lifetime access for that program. Imagine every single year without having to pay anything more, joining into the Master Internet Marketing Program and getting trained for the lifetime of that specific product. It's an incredible value value relative to what we charge to it. And there's no income restrictions or time commitments like the inner circle would have in comparison. So pick an offer that's best for you. And at the very least, go check out some of my other videos. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of the small part that's left of this talk, and get richer. Talk soon.
And because you're here today, I'm going to give you all 4 of those SOPs as a thank you to you. Okay? Cool. Well, it was a true honor to be here with you today. Again, check me out online. Just look me up on whatever you want. My Instagram, by the way, is just my name, @Jeremy, but you'll still need to type in Jeremy Haynes to see me on there. That makes sense? All right, you got a question? What's up? Can't hear you. What? Yeah. No, it's on October 11th and 12th. That's that new facility that I just got down there in Miami. Yeah. We had a fuckload of friction because that specific offer is currently maxed out. It's an offer that's not unlimited. I couldn't sell it to you right now if I wanted to. I have a finite amount of people I can have in that specific room. So we literally turn the functionality of the site on and off relative to whether we have room for people or not. We don't even build a wait list because there's already too long of a wait list for that offer. Shout out to YouTube for that good problem. Yeah.
Hey, my name is Mag, and Eddie and I run a tax strategy firm. So
Yeah, hey. Yeah, good to hear from you.
my question for you is, apart from getting you at the right time, what differentiates the tax strategists that do capture your attention, not in person but online, versus the people that...
Oh, it's all about messaging. Yeah, messaging is what creates the response from people. So like I said, that one line of messaging of, hey, you're rich. Like, you don't just need a CPA and a tax attorney and a bookkeeper. Like, you need a tax strategist. Like, they had to introduce me to the idea, right? And then again, like now that I'm a little bit more aware, right? We move up the awareness ladder. They need to start talking to me now about, hey, I got strategies that aren't high risk and won't put you in prison, that are legal, easily doable. You see? Yeah. I know, right? What?
Carlton, right?
Yeah, Carlton, yeah. Yeah.
Is he who helps you now, or
Yeah, he's currently a consulting client of ours, and then we're also a client of his.
you do his ads and stuff? So
I don't run his ads currently. What I do for him is he has a 3-day challenge coming up here, I believe in our early November or maybe late October, and we're gonna make him a few $1 million with that. Yeah. Thank you, Meg.
It's really great, but it's like setters and all that. What is the minimum order size that you should be selling something for to make this impossible?
Well, that's the thing. Like we teach this system in the context of you have some kind of high ticket product or service, but I want to be really direct in saying, like, we see people use this stuff all the time that sell some kind of low ticket product. They want to try to increase the amount of subscriptions they get, or they want to try to increase lifetime value by getting recurring buyers. There's all kinds of use cases for this. It's not applicable to just high ticket businesses. It'll work for you either way. Yeah. Just make sure, to be clear, you understand this. Only one of those 4 systems has a cost to it, which is the Hammer Them campaign. 3 out of 4 of those have no cost. So focus on those 3 out of 4 if you're lower ticket until you can justify and see, like, oh, I got a much higher ROAS now as a result of these systems, and then you can work in the Hammer Them strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, which is getting in their social feed. That's the content.
That's correct. Yeah.
If you're not a copywriter, what tools or resources do you recommend to either learn or to implement through AI?
Yeah, it's a great tool that we're currently using. It's called Manus, MANUS.im. And there's a specific function of it I want to make really clear. It's called agent mode. So like right below the little prompt box, there's a little set of 3 icons in the bottom left. The middle icon puts it in agent mode. And that can help you a lot as long as you can prompt decently. And we're currently cloning that AI agent mode from how much we like it. We named it Utari. We're going to internally roll it out for our Inner Circle members, and then we'll reveal it to the public probably later this next month. But moral of the story is we like Manus currently. Yep.
yeah, more on that. I mean, great system, but do you have can you recommend a starter tech stack? Just
Yeah. So with these SOPs that I just sent to you guys that you'll get via email here later today, later today, right?
I think we can make something happen.
Yeah, you'll get them sometime. So these 4 SOPs that you get, like you can take those SOPs. They're step-by-step tactical execution, by the way, and they're very long. Like they're not short by any means. You could take those as an example, put them into a tool like Manus, and then literally go back and forth with Manus in real time, or any LLM of your preference, like ChatGPT, whatever. The only difference is, I want to make this really clear just on a technical level. Manus is a credit-based LLM, and so it doesn't bias towards its own efficiency. When you leverage a tool like ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini as examples, these are flat monthly rate LLMs, and that means they're going to bias towards their own efficiency. When you upload something into Manus, like these SOPs as an example, and you prompt it to like go do real-world research, which by the way is how we found out about those examples I provided for the Jamil real-world examples, it'll read every word. It will do the task to its fullest possible extent, because again, it's a credit-based LLM, so it's trying to milk you for as many credits as it can. But it's still like, I don't know, it's like fucking $200 a month for the highest level, and I've never exceeded it once, and I do some crazy shit with it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, cool. Big round of applause for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Shannon.
Have fun at your concert.
Thank you.
Awesome.